What is it that lights you up every single day, like sets you on fire every single day in your purpose and your passion? And then when you figure out your what and your why and what it is, the how always shows up.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Raving Patients podcast. As you know, I'm your host, Dr. Len Tao. And as many of you know, I'm also a member of Catapult, which is a speaking organization. We had an event in February where I got to meet all the speakers, and I'm a new speaker, so I didn't know that many people. And I got to meet this amazing, fabulous, awesome woman who I immediately wanted to have come on the podcast and kind of talk to you about what she teaches dentists and teams. So today's episode is entitled Taking Your Career to the Next Level. And we're going to be talking about things about habits of high-performing teams, self-leadership, growth mindsets, and how to reach your next level in your profession. So please welcome to the Raving Patients podcast, Dr. Kelly Tanner.
Thank you, Lynn, for the kind introduction. It's an honor to be here with you today. So just thank you, Dr. Tao. Thank you.
I appreciate you finding some time in your busy schedule, joining me. I know you have some exciting things on the horizon, but before we get into those things, I want you to kind of introduce yourself. Let the people that don't know who you are a little bit about who Kelly Tanner is. Sure. You've got a really neat background, so talk about your background and how you're currently helping practices.
Awesome. I'm happy to do that. It has been a wonderful journey in my career as a dental hygienist. I started, like many of you all, in a different role in dentistry. I started when I was 17 as a dental assistant and went on from there to go to hygiene school. Was not even sure that that's what I wanted to do, because I think the first time that my hygienist flossed someone, I saw blood, I freaked out. And I'm like, nope, time out. I am not doing this. So went to school at Old Dominion University for my bachelor's degree in dental hygiene. Went out and worked a few years, went back to get my master's in dental hygiene because I felt like there was probably more for me beyond the four walls I was in. I just had a feeling, that gut, that intuition that you feel, that nudge. And so I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet, but here we go. So went back and got my master's and then immediately got a job at Virginia Commonwealth University, taught at dental hygiene programs. So shorten the story a little bit, I've been in academia for a dental hygienist for 25 years, 26, doing math. That's so weird. Math isn't our strong suit as hygienists. That's why we remain dental hygienists. But so then I was like, okay, I love teaching because I went into teaching. I had my own consulting recruiting business for a while. I was always speaking because I felt like if I knew something that other hygienists or dental professionals would want to hear or that they could get excited about, I wanted to share it. I felt like an intrinsic calling to do that. So very earlier on, I would be interested to see how my younger self presented in front of people now that I've been doing it for so long. Lynn, I'm sure you feel the same. But then I went back to get my PhD in organizational leadership because I didn't want any limits. I know that dental hygiene's working on a terminal degree and as a doctorate for dental hygienists to serve in different areas of our profession. But I love leadership and people and moving people toward their goals. And so my PhD in organizational leadership and business, I was like, Kelly, what are you going to do with this? Well, I figured I could apply it to dentistry and apply it to these smaller organizations, which we call dental offices or DSOs, and then to the people inside of them and empower them in a way that's different. Because Lynn, when I grew up, I was a little baby hygienist, I went to go see Tony Robbins. My doctor took me to go see Tony Robbins to empower us, to power unleash your power within and all of that. So I see that as some of my sole purpose and doing that for dental folks and bringing in the dental to it. And then knowing what we go through every day, knowing who we are and our identity and also our power. So now I do that for organizations. I'm an international speaker. I have Next Level Dental Hygiene, which we have an academy. We have a leadership bundle that's offered to you now in the website. So go and check it out. It's all leadership, that self-awareness piece of you to find your why and your purpose, how to lean into that, how to ask for help, how to have courageous conversations, and doing other things with development and speaking. So that's a little bit.
You've got a busy career just like I do. So it goes with the territory, I think, for people who like to level up, as we like to say. So yes. That's awesome. So before we get into some of the content, I also want to, I know you've got a couple of things you're doing. Why don't you let the listeners and viewers know about the couple of things that you're actively involved with? Because this will release before those events. So why don't you tell them about those events?
Oh, for sure. We are excited to announce that for our first annual, the Bermuda Dental Summit is in September in the beautiful area of Bermuda. And I don't know if you all have ever been there. I went there a few months ago, September 30th through October 1st, 2022. Now, what makes this dental conference different? Why is it something that you should attend? Every office has some kind of digital workflow, right? And then I work a lot with Align Technology and helping hygienists and team members understand the efficiencies, how they can feel confident in using that technology to improve their workflow, to improve the communication that they have with their patients, to leave that long-lasting impact on the patient and make it the best dental experience they've ever had using the digital workflow. So where do you go from the doctor showing up with this device because they've decided to buy it at a trade show, right? Because they decided to buy it and they're like, oh, this is a good idea. And everybody's like, when am I going to find time to do this? So at this digital summit, what you will learn, your doctor and your team members will learn is how to, well, first of all, we start with high performance mindset. What are the habits of high performance team members? You learn about your DISC assessment, your emotional intelligence, how that matters, why that matters, how your team, what that matters to your team about who you are as an individual leader. And then you also learn the hands-on workshop, how to scale, not literally with the scaler, but how to scale your dental practice in a way using the iTero, using Invisalign to better care for your patients with a greater impact. So you get all of that hands-on training in 2 days in Bermuda. It's going to be some fun in there too, but this is all about making you fall in love with your profession again because of all the digital opportunities we have. So we connect people to their health, to the understanding. That's my why, you guys, because I want us to be set up for our best unlimited potential and opportunity. So the Bermuda Summit, you can go online. It's under teamequation.com. And it, again, September 30th through October 1st, 2022. So that's one thing, Lynn. Aren't you glad you asked? Because I have multiple things.
Well, hold on a second. So Bermuda holds a very special place in my heart because I got engaged in Bermuda.
No.
So, yep.
Oh, where did you do it?
I did it on a sailboat in the middle of the water. So we went to Bermuda. I was actually with my parents at a dental conference in Bermuda. We were staying at the Southampton Princess, where I think your meeting is at. Mm-hmm. And I proposed on a boat called the Sand Dollar in the middle of the ocean. And it was great. So my wife and I have Bermuda in our special place in our hearts. So love Bermuda. Think it's awesome. And obviously you're doing that with Allison, who's amazing. So, I think it'll be a great thing for people to attend. So that was number one. That was Bermuda. I needed to get that in. What's number two?
So back to number one, just for a second. We also have a doctor session as well. We're going to have breakouts for all the team members, and doctors will get that how to align your teams. The name of it, our tagline is align your team. So we'll have doctor presence there as well. And Lynn, how did you like the princess, where we're staying?
Oh, it sounded beautiful. Southampton Princess is beautiful. We actually got the honeymoon suite the day that when I proposed, they knew about it. So they gave us the biggest suite in the place, and they had rose petals all over the place. I mean, they treat you like you're king shit there. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So I went and I saw it for myself. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This actually exists.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So we're super, super excited. Thank you for sharing your story. And second is that you guys go check out nextleveldentalhygiene.com. There is an iTero certification for dental hygienists. I'm starting with dental hygienists because that's who I am in our essence, because I know our pain points when it comes to utilizing any new technology. So it is a certification that will take you through the step-by-step process with mini micro learning modules that will help you build the confidence with that scanner. There's feedback, there's reflective activities. You'll have a faculty there to ask questions to for that certification. So I cannot wait for you all to experience that, because you can really figure out what the meaning of occlusion is in your practice in a way that you've never understood it, in a way that you've never explained it to your patients, using some of the best digital technology that's out there.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Now, I'm excited about it, as you can tell.
I would be excited too. Look, we're go-getters. We do our stuff. We educate. We're out there, and we share those similarities. So let's get into the content now. Okay. High performing teams. Obviously, to run a dental office, a team is more valuable than anything. I couldn't have had the practice I had without my team involved, but my team was also very trained. They knew their jobs. I was absent a lot. I was an absentee owner. I was only there 2 days a week most of the time, and my office performed really, really well because I had really a high performing team. But it was funny. I don't think I was the best leader. It's interesting. I think I could be a better leader. But I still had a really good high performing team because I gave them the job they had to do and they knew what they had to do and they did their job. Simple as that. So obviously you teach to high performing team, or you get teams to high performance. So what are some habits of high performing teams?
Thought you'd never ask. And Lynn, I would say that you're probably a really good leader. You probably just weren't looking at your giftings in the right way.
Maybe. I mean, I definitely knew I needed to work on some things, which I did. But my leadership skills, if I was still going to be the owner of my office, I think I was headed towards some leadership stuff, but I chose a different direction. So
understood.
I mean, I appreciate you saying that though.
Yeah, understood. So when you ask about what are the kind of the attributes of a high performance team member, what I always say that we need to do is develop our inward awareness of who we are as an individual, because that forms the foundation in how we perceive and how we apply everything else on top of it from the context of our lens. Because we can be who we are and our energy and who we are. It kind of builds the construct of understanding around everything else. So in that bottom layer, if you think of us as a triangle, that bottom layer being the individual, and then one side being the team and then the other side being the practice, this is the foundation that we build on. So this is also something that Allison and I teach about through teams, and high performance team mindset will also be a part of the Bermuda Summit. But it's about that self-care, that energy, and being mindful of that. Are you serving from a place of when you show up to work, are you, and in your life, are you happy? Are you serving your true purpose? And are you staying in your values? And are you being true to yourself with how you are? Because I don't know about you, Lynn, but as I've been growing up through the years, I realized that some of the rules I had for myself weren't really my rules. They were old rules from other people. Have you found the same?
I agree 100%.
And so what helps through this other piece of self-awareness is that you're able to kind of look at yourself in a way to say, is that true for me? And is that still serving me? Is that rule that I have, this agreement that I have with myself, is it still serving me today? Or is it a belief that you've outgrown or that someone else had for you? So I had a lot of these from my parents. We have them, it's coming into the pike of, your work ethic, what time you should get up, how much money you should make. Everybody should go to school for a certain amount of years, all of the things, right? And they just mean different things to all of us. So being aware of who you are as an individual, and if you're really truly serving in those values and identity. So taking yourself through that process, and then knowing your what and your why. So what is it that you are interested in doing? What is it that lights you up every single day, like sets you on fire every single day in your purpose and your passion? And then when you figure out your what and your why and what it is, the how always shows up. So many times I find that people who I coach in offices I coach, they'll say, I have all this I want to do. And I know what I want to do. I don't know how to do it. Your job is to figure out what it is, not the how you're going to do it. Because when you start telling people about it and how this is happening for you, then all the ways that is going to happen show up in ways that you have no idea how they're coming to you. So what that means is you could think that you're going to buy this leather jacket that you've had your eye on. Okay. And you could be telling somebody about it, how much you've wanted it for a while. And you could say, man, I want this leather jacket. I'm going to save up money for it. This is how I'm getting it. And then how you get it really isn't your job, because it may show up in a different way. So maybe somebody gives it to you. Maybe, you don't know. You may want something better. So when we think of exactly how we're going to do something, we limit ourselves to our possibilities. So what are we limiting in ourselves? Once we know our beliefs, how are we limiting those beliefs and what it is we're open to receive in that way as an individual? So then that leads into, we're still in the individual platform. As that individual, what is your growth mindset? The majority of the issues that we have with ourselves and the reasons why we get stuck are right here in our brain, because we tell ourselves we can or we can't. So what I encourage you to do is think about your mindset every day, to think about if you feel that someone else has control over that, over what happens for you, or if you have control over that. Because if you're ever in a situation where you're sort of feeling stuck and you feel like you can't grow, or that you've reached, if you have a boss or a coworker who you can't talk to about something because you're like, no, the doctor wouldn't like that, or it's going to cause too much issue in the office, or all the things that you can think up and tell yourself, the voice on your shoulder, the little voice on the back of your head. And if you think about, how you would have that conversation, it really comes down to two things that you can do. What can I and how can I? What can I do about this and how can I go about this problem? Because we have choices every single day and how we show up, right? In our mindset. So if you think that you can't do something, you're exactly right. So if you think you can't go to that coworker, and because of all the reasons why you've told yourself that are limiting beliefs anyway, then you need to question yourself, where's this coming from? And then what can I and how can I change this by talking to them, knowing what I know? Because again, back to the choices, you can stay there and be unhappy. You can, leave and just say, it's not worth it. Or you can do something about it. And I truly believe that when we lean in and we tell people about it from our individual awareness, and we tell people about what it is that's bothering us, that they learn something from it too. Because think about it, Len, when you had your practice, if you had a teammate, if you had one of your team members come to you and say, Dr. Tao, this is really bothering me, XYZ, how could that have empowered you, right? That you could have learned something about yourself you had no awareness of. It was a blind spot that maybe you had, right? And so it's our individual opportunity to use our voice and to express things in a respectful way, in a way that we are sort of open to understanding where that person is coming from. So that first tier is about that individual leadership and awareness. Did you have any questions or comments after that? And I'll go through the other two.
No, I didn't. I think you explain things really well. I'll leave it up to you to, do you want to talk about the other two things, or do you want me to talk about leadership? Where do you want to take the conversation?
Yeah, no, I'll take about the other two things. I just didn't, I wanted to pause in case you had questions
that's
or
good.
comments.
I appreciate you pausing, because not all the time I'm like, oh boy, I literally did a podcast. I never asked one question to one of my guests. I won't mention who it was, but literally it was like, I introduced him and he just talked. It was like a webinar. It wasn't a podcast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I appreciate you pausing.
Yeah, sure. Because otherwise I wouldn't know about the Bermuda Summit, and then like you getting engaged to your wife. How would you have known?
Exactly.
So with that, then as an individual, where you build the next side of this triangle's the strongest shape, just in case you didn't know. It's about how you show up and you communicate. And because you are coming with understanding, and because you come in from a lens of wanting to create understanding, and come with that empathy as well, which is a piece of emotional intelligence. And understanding too, you've already decided what your why is and why you're there, your purpose. And then how does that feed into the vision, the mission, and the values of the actual team, of each team member? And what is their why? Have you ever shared that among each other? I invite you to do this as a staff meeting, as a team meeting. A lot of times we still call them staff meetings, but team meeting, to do this, to talk about, what is your personal vision, mission, values, because we should have that individually. And then what pieces of that align with the team there, and say, you know what, I'm strong there too. Kelly, I didn't realize that you were strong in that. How about we give that to Kelly to do next time? It's like, yeah, man, I would have loved that. Ask me to do it. So I find that that's an empowering activity for the team when you sort of co-create that process and you lean into your strengths there. Because then the other thing that you're getting out of this is you're able to kind of be more mindful of your energy in your team, because when you know that people are operating in their strengths, you can sort of realize their energy, like the morning huddles that we have. The huddles where people come in like their hair half up, people maybe hungover, maybe, I don't know. And you're like, oh, wow, their energy is different today. And you're like, what's going on? You're trying to read it. Well, in these team environments where you have this shared culture, you have this communication that you built this trust. You can say, you know what, I am I'm not operating at a high five today. If five is your number in your team, or maybe I'm not at a 10, have a sick child at home. And I'm going to let you know that the doctor's office is probably going to be calling me today. I may have to step up for 30 minutes to go take my son or pick him up, whatever the conversation may be. But that way the team can step up and say, how can we support you in this, knowing this? And you talk about it because it's part of that shared mission, vision, and values, because they know who you are and what you're all about as an individual. And then that kind of brings me into like one of the final brief points of this segment is that accountability. Because if everyone is accountable to their own actions and their own teamwork and their own piece of what it is they're doing, then it builds that team cohesiveness. Everyone is truly happy and high performance leaders at work because they built systems, processes together. And it's like, yep, when this lays here, you know to do that. You don't have to say, who ran the autoclave? Whose turn was it to make sure the autoclave is right? Who did the suction lines? I'm using these small examples, but it's everyone's accountable for their piece of their pie because they know how they're performing together as a team. And that's built on the individual asset.
Hey, that's exactly, you mentioned those things. I don't have to tell people in my office to do stuff. They just do it. They know what their job is and they do it. And that's why we run really, really well. When I was there, I did manage the office. I technically didn't have an office manager. I was the office manager because we had a really small team. We only had, 5 people, including myself. So I didn't need an office manager. But no, the what you just said, I agree with wholeheartedly. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on leadership, self-leadership, because I think that's a difficult part of running a business. As I mentioned, I don't think I was the best leader. But why don't you talk a little bit about leadership?
Yeah, that leads into my last part of the triangle, which is workflow and systems, because when you know everyone's strengths are, you can manage expectations about who's doing what, right? And then from that self-accountability and through your member as a team, that part of that team member where people aren't performing. And that is self-accountability of like, you know what? I messed that up today. I didn't operate at my highest self. I didn't operate at my high five today. What can we do to overcome that? And how can we make this better next time? And you have that team input of like, yeah, man, I should have got your back on that. I'm so sorry. I was running late over here. But through explanation and communication, people can then understand it and, process it from your viewpoint. So from high performance leaders and to this specific point, it's about communicating with empathy and about going to that person to seek understanding instead of seek to get your viewpoint across. Leave your ego at the door, but to say, help me understand, I'm concerned because tell me more about how I can help you. Come at it from a place of, how can I empower that team? Because that leads into who we are and how we do as not just a team, but who we are as a practice. This is who we are, how you're recognized in your community. Because I think, Lynn, that people come in from the community based on other referrals, based on that presence and about what other people are saying about you. So where I get a lot of this is doctors will, or team members will say, I'm scared to use the digital. I'm scared to use the ITR. I'm scared to use the laser. And it's like, this is a great place for you to build value in your practice and to create that trust between your team members because everybody's talking it up. They're like, man, you're going to love this. You're going to see stuff like you've never seen it before. And to be able to then just to know and to lean into your why and in a way that that you're serving in your purpose. So it's all this triangle of this and that leadership. So communication, people problems are the number one problems in organizations, no matter what it is, banking, postal service, whatever. And a lot of that comes from emotional intelligence and how you're able to read people, regulate yourself, regulate the room, and take a read on all that. I do offer an emotional intelligence assessment. I'm a certified behavioral coach and EI, and it helps you get a barometer of where you are and then where to build from that. So it's a pretty cool tool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. One of the things I think that businesses are always striving for is the ability to grow, whether it's growing from a production standpoint, a collection standpoint, or just internally as a team. So I know that, especially now post-COVID, I think the world is a little crazy right now. I know a lot of practices are doing really well. I know other practices are struggling. So how do you deal with the growth mindset that, that when practices are looking to grow, and how do you deal with the mindset the doctor has in that sense?
Mm-hmm. Seek understanding first. Like, what does the doctor see this look like? And growth mindset is really about that I can't do it, that I can't do it, add the word yet to it. Yeah, I can't use the scanner yet. I can't see this many patients yet. I don't know how to use this yet. I don't know how to understand this yet. And growth mindset is all about knowing that you have control over it of yourself, in that you always have that choice and being able to do that. So if you're in an office that's growing, try to understand, what your team looks like, what's your culture, your accountability look like as an infrastructure. So when whoever is interviewing these individuals, that you are attracting those individuals based on your culture, and being open to that growth mindset to say, this person is a team member. They're not this guest hygienist or this, just this person here for the day. They're human. And how can I help them be successful? And by serving my why, because we're all here for the patient. And if I can empower them to be their best self, then that's what it's truly about at the end of the day, because we're in this for people, because we're servant leaders. And I think that where we get a lot of burnout is when we let that get out of focus.
Makes a lot of sense to me. I agree with that. I mean, look, it's like you get into the minds of these docs and you're able to, get them to take action, which I think is really great. So, before we get into the fun part, which I think is a lightning round Q&A, why don't you talk about how does someone reach their next level in the profession? I know a lot of dentists or even hygienists. The world is crazy right now. As I mentioned, there's a lot of, they call it the great resignation. I've seen all over the internet where hygienists are saying I'm out of the op. Dentists are deciding to sell their practice, potentially to a DSO, like I did with a single owner. So how do you get someone to reach their next level in the profession they're in?
That's self-awareness. And like, if something it feels out of alignment in you, then you need to ask the question why it's there. Like that self-awareness of, why am I feeling burnout? Why am I not happy every day when I leave here? No matter what you're in, if you're not happy, there's a reason why. What's the opposite of that? How would you want to feel that way? And then what could you do to take the next action on those steps? Because you and I can be together in an office, Len, and working, and maybe I'm frustrated and I go home frustrated every day. But what can I and how can I handle that myself to go to try to problem solve that, right? And to say, hey, Dr. Tell, I mean to ask you, can you help me understand something? Because I'm getting a little bit frustrated, and other team members may be frustrated. It's about that self-awareness and knowing that you need to take action on something. So it follows that triangle, but be true to yourself and what it is. And so, Len, too, I talk about the great reassignment. It's not really the resignation. It's like people have been, kind of shifted into different offices, because I think a lot of people, what they were wanting even before the pandemic was autonomy, not from I want to be able to drill and fill teeth. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about flexibility in their lives, because we in dentistry are so structured. Yes, this patient, and that can burn you out, and it's hard. I mean, it can be very hard some days, especially when patients are running behind, team is running behind, and to keep all these things upbeat, to be able to empower that. It's like, how are you finding that in you to show up as that? So that self-awareness will lead you to your next level, and just knowing what it is that if you need to rediscover why you got it in the first place, ask yourself those questions.
Yeah, I give a keynote seminar called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. And I talk about how, I bought a practice. I was heavily in debt. I grew the practice. I gutted the building, really built the practice of my dreams, but I wasn't living the life of my dreams. And, I was in the office a lot. I didn't have a lot of free time. And this was way before everything else I got involved with. And, so I learned a way out of the op, obviously, with what I'm doing. I had worked 2 days a week for the last 5 years, but I understand that. I understand the burnout. I understand the stress practice owners have. I understand the stress team members have in some cases. So I understand completely. And I agree with what you said there. I really do.
Is that what you did to overcome what you did? I mean, is that exactly what you did?
Yeah, very similar to what I did. So, I had to recognize that I was not happy with what I had established for myself. It was partly my own fault. I mean, it was more be self-doing than anything else, but I had to realize I couldn't live that way. So, that was great. That was awesome. So, I want to switch gears for just a couple minutes here. And as I mentioned, I have an app called Pod Dex. And I choose for these types of guests, I choose something called the hustle, which is all about business. So I'm going to ask you 7 or 8 questions, answer them quick, one word, 2-word answers. Doesn't have to be long. So Kelly, here's your Q&A. What is the number one thing people are always asking you for help?
Team coaching. How do I overcome something? I'm stuck.
Okay. How do you capture and keep track of your ideas? Do you keep a notebook? Do you have voice memos?
I have several different ways. I have memos on my phone, and I have a big whiteboard.
Okay. Do you have a journal?
Yes.
You do have a journal.
I do.
Okay, then. Okay. I'm not sure. This is a weird. I never been asked this question. So, what kind of shower ideas in parentheses do you get? I don't even know what does that mean?
You don't know what that means?
Like an idea in the shower, you mean?
Yeah, those are where the best ideas come from, in the shower, Lynn.
I don't pay attention. I don't get ideas in the shower. So.
Shower ideas. I have a lot of them. It's how to solve a problem. I can't remember one specifically right now, but it's when you're relaxed and you're not thinking, you're not so stressed out. It's when you're kind of available to receive information, you're in that relaxed energy, that it's like, oh, this is what I've been meaning to do with that. I think I came up with next level dental hygiene in the shower one day, and one of my previous businesses in the shower one day. So absolutely, there's a real thing.
When I'm in the shower, I want to know what I'm getting out of the shower. I take a shower because I have to. I am so busy. I just do it because I have to do it. So how did you get your credibility so quickly?
Trust. Just treating people the way I want to be treated. And then I went to school for a long time.
Okay. What has been your most satisfying moment in business?
To be about 10 years ahead of everything and see everything catch up. And see how the process is fun. And it's just like, because when you're a pioneer, when you're a visionary, you can see it and you can put all the red pins in the map, but then finally seeing the red pins starting to move in a direction, to me, that's satisfying for my profession and for the profession of dentistry, that we're getting it.
Perfect. All right. Here's a tricky one. If you had to open up a lemonade stand tomorrow, what would you call it?
I don't know. Lemonade stand. Sunshine Lemonade.
I was thinking Next Level Lemonade, but that's what I would have chosen. Do you have a favorite business podcast?
Business, yes. Well, I listen to, it actually comes from Clubhouse, and it's Breakfast with Champions.
Okay. What important rules have you learned about business that will make you more successful?
Mm-hmm. Get up early. Get up at 5 a.m., 5:30. You talk to anybody who knows me, they will say, who is this imposter? Because this is not Kelly. Get up early. Gratitude. Journal your gratitude. Do not open your phone for the first hour. Do not open your phone. Gratitude. Set my goals for the day. Set my goal for the week and the month. And then figure out where I'm going to fit my activity in to take care of myself and to plug it all in. I just kind of reverse engineer it. Solid gold right there.
Perfect. And one last question. Describe Mondays for you in one word.
Peaceful.
Perfect. So Kelly, this was awesome. How can people reach out to you? How do they find out more information about you, what you're doing, and what you're planning on doing?
Thank you, Len. You can find us on Next Level DH on both Instagram and Facebook, and then also Next Level Dental Hygiene as well. You can DM me through Next Level DH. Would love to see you guys at any of the programs. I look forward to seeing you all in the audience, at trade shows, all the good things, and keep following your gut. Keep following your nudges, because they're there for a reason.
And you forgot to mention you have a podcast called The Dental Handoff. Yeah,
The Dental Handoff. I keep forgetting, this is my baby, The Dental Handoff. And we talk about, thank you, Lynn. And Lynn's going to be a guest with me in a few weeks, I believe. And we talk about team communication, how to overcome conflict, improve communication, golden nuggets of leadership. So tune in there.
Well, this was awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really intrigued by what you said. You're a great speaker. No wonder you're part of Catapult. So guys, if you like this episode, please share it. Please subscribe to the episode. Please tell your colleagues. It comes out Fridays at 5 a.m. I have a new book, those that know, called 100 Plus Tips to Getting 100 Reviews in 100 Days. There it is. Check it out on Amazon. Nice. If you're interested in learning more about the book, check out our sponsors, the Doc Sites and Cloud Dentistry, who have been a big part of allowing me to do what I need to do. And always remember, your reputation matters. Kelly, thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll speak to everyone soon.